today is a very special day that in the times of Yehoshua, there was a war that he was having. And at those times, they didn't have night vision or thermal vision wasn't standard issue to the kits of the soldiers. So they couldn't fight during nighttime. And they need to finish a battle. If they don't finish the battle that day, then the enemy would have a chance to regroup. So what happened is that the sun stayed in the sky and didn't go down, which allowed them to finish the battle and end the war. So it was a miracle that the sun stayed. Later on in the times of the Lubavitcher Rebbe was incarcerated by the Marxists in 1926, and they wanted to give him the ultimate punishment. And however, there was a lot of pressure from the countries around in the United States, and the head office called in to the jail, to where the GPU was, and they put pressure. And what they did is on Gimel Tammuz, they changed the ultimate punishment to go into exile in a place called Kostroma. So really the life of the previous Rebbe and all the future work in the United States and everything that we teach over here on this channel is connected to the fact that this redemption of the previous Rebbe that started to happen on this day. Another thing that happened today is that this is the Hilula of the Rebbe, that we are no longer able to openly receive the lessons and the messages of Torah from our Rebbe. However, the Rebbe did leave a last testimony, which all the Rebbeim would leave a last testimony. And in the last testimony, he speaks about how we can be consistent. And the way we can be consistent, we need to reveal our essence. And the Rebbe helps us to reveal our essence. And how do we reveal our essence? In the previous discourses, the Rebbe explains this is that by thinking about our essence. When we think about our Yechida, we think about our essence. This will empower us that our revealed abilities will match the essence, and the essence is consistent. In other words, we're going to be in our full strength. And so this is in line with the moment of silence. This is in line with the fast from speaking, whether it's a 15-minute fast or maybe a 5-minute fast, or even less, a moment of silence. What do we think about in the moment of silence? We can think about, or the fast from speaking, we think about ourselves. That's what it says about the 15-minute fast, about aligning ourselves. We could think about how we are aligning ourselves with our essence. What's the most important things of our life, and how did we align ourselves to the essence, and what can we do better to align ourselves with the essence? And then the Rebbe gives us strength to reveal our essence, that our revealed powers will be consistent with our essence. And then this will help us have greater unity. How does this help greater unity? Well, in the Tanya, the Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe said that the only way to have unity is we have to recognize our own divinity, and we have to discount the physicality. The only way to have unity is by discounting the physicality and recognizing the divinity and the soul of each person. And only then we can have unity with people. We can't do it because our body is going to be blocking. Well, the Rebbe says this thinking strategy that he's suggesting about aligning ourselves with our essence will help us that our entire desire in life will be to see revelation of divinity in the world, similar to what it was in the times of the temple, to see the revelation of the divinity, which is every place in the world. So even if there's one corner of the world, some people say it's the W and then EF. Some people will say it's a company called BlackRock. Wherever it is, there's one soul that doesn't have a revelation of divinity, then even the revelation of divinity that a person may feel they have is not the essence, because if it's an essence, it's going to be everywhere the same. And when a person feels that there's something missing, that they feel like a squashed olive, when they don't have this essence, then this helps to reveal the essence. So the strategy follows like this. It's the moment of silence, so 5 minutes of silence, 15 minutes of silence, a daily silence. What do we think about? We think about ourselves. We think about aligning our revealed abilities with our essence. Are we living up to our essence? And then the Rebbe gives us power to align our revealed function together with our essence, that we are consistent. At the same time, we start to recognize that it's a big shame that we don't have a revelation of the essence, because if it would be, we would be everywhere equally. Everybody would benefit. So everywhere would benefit. So, and everybody would see. And it's a shame that it's not that way. So what happens is this becomes our prime focus of our life. And therefore we can have unity with other people, not only because of their divinity, because we realize that the essence of the physicality is also the same essence. So we can have a unity, and our body will not block the unity. And this is the last tool which the Rebbe equipped us with. So something very simple we need to do, but it has a very powerful impact. And this is our job, that and it's our mission to reveal divinity in the world. And that's a thought for today, this special day of Gimel Tammuz. Anybody have any questions, any comments? You can unmute yourselves. I'm also looking at the chat box. If anybody has any questions, I can address those questions. As we go into Tammuz, we need to see Hashem. See, Tammuz was in history recognized for the 3 weeks, but really after the redemption of the previous Rebbe, where the Marxist structure began to fall. In other words, when we saw the destruction of the fall of the Berlin Wall, and that really was in the process of the destruction of Marxism, we see that there's these totalitarian ideas of collectivism which continue, and the Rebbe says that really the ideology started to fall apart in 1926. And later on, what happened so many years later is it's like a peg was removed from the bottom of the building, and the building starts to crumble later on. So, but it hasn't fully fallen yet. True that people are free to fulfill Torah mitzvahs, and that was a very big thing, but there's still efforts on the part of the Marxism to infiltrate the minds. And like the Medrash of Esther Rabbah writes, that the last war of Amalek will be against God himself. And people say that Amalek doesn't know how to, how can they fight God? one of the ways, the strategy is, well, people have the name of God written on their face. So, and children especially are very close to God because they were in Gan Eden, in heaven recently. So therefore their manner of happiness is very similar to the way the souls are in Gan Eden. So if we impact children, innocent children, in a bad way, so we're sort of like fighting God. And this is the last war of Amalek. Of course, Amalek in the last war doesn't announce himself. And also Amalek uses, like he learned from Esav used terminology, very fancy terminology, in order to create deceit, deception, and deception. So we see Amalek is using deceptive terms to redefine everything, to make a war against God by fighting fighting the image of humans, and especially children. Of course, this all began to fall apart in Yud Beis Tammuz, and even before that on Gimel Tammuz, this whole structure began to fall apart. And now what we're seeing is the final efforts. We're seeing the final efforts of Amalek to push their war and their agenda. And of course, with the help of Hashem himself will destroy their agenda, and hopefully even those people will do tshuva and will start working for the opposite of agenda, the agenda of the whole world learning about God. Somebody asked the question, do you think AI is a tool to replace the face of God? AI can only be there in order to help us spread more Hasidus. So even though it doesn't know how to write, it's pretty not, and it doesn't know how to say things accurately, and it lies, and it's but the only reason it came into the world is to help people spread more Hasidus, and that's why we have to look at it. What is AI? AI is a very powerful computer, similar to an angel, like a malach, but it's not a angel that's totally. It functions like an angel. An angel is basically like an animal. Like if a person's a hunter, they study the patterns of animals and they know their weaknesses and they know they won't break out of those patterns. So AI is just like any animal, like any programmed computer that is doing a certain function, and it's there to help us spread Hasidus and spread the knowledge of God, even though seemingly it lies and it makes mistakes and all sorts of things. You can't rely on it, but it's helpful for programmers. They can get more done when they're programming,
as long as it writes the code correctly.
Yeah,
there's no way to know if the code is written correctly until all the possible scenarios actually happen, and then you decide if it's the desired outcome or not. So
yeah, they try it and they say, oh, whoops, there's another glitch, we have to do an update, we didn't think about this.